Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. This is Traumatic Tomes. It's a booktube channel where I talk about what I'm reading. My name's Vince. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus recently. I haven't posted in a few weeks, which isn't that long, I don't think, but I've been trying to chill out a little bit and go stress-free, not try to read every book under the sun as quick as I can, trying to avoid politics and other stuff, get sleep, good exercise. So it's been a nice break from making videos, but I'm back now. I'm gonna chat about some books with you guys. And before I do that, I want to let you guys know that I have also ended my absence from Goodreads. I had beef with Amazon, and I still have beef with Amazon, but I made another Goodreads account. It's going to be linked right in my description. Feel free to send me a friend or follow request. If I don't know you or we haven't talked before, I would prefer just a follow request, but do whatever you want. You have agency. So, yeah, I'm trying to put all my books into the Goodreads. You might see I've been reading a lot of Green Arrow comics recently, like the DC superhero. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but I've been enjoying some Green Arrow comics. A lot of the newer ones are kind of crap. But I chose Green Arrow because I think it's a little bit easier to tackle his whole collection compared to someone like Batman or Superman. So yeah, that's that. Goodreads. Before we talk about what I'm reading, after a year and a half, I finally finished my Moleskine journal. I don't know how many pages it was, but a year and a half. I took a lot of breaks from journaling involuntarily, I think. And I think usually I go through journals quicker, but this one's done, so I just bought today. I don't know if any of you guys use Leuchtturm 1917, but I got an A5 medium blue cover. It's 251 pages. And I'm just gonna open it really quick. This is the dotted notebook. Usually I've done in the past just blank notebooks and occasionally lined, but I don't think I've ever done a dotted. Oh, ephemera. There's a table of contents, and then looks like nice paper, dotted. You can see, but yeah. I know some of you guys like notebooks, so it's my notebook reveal. Anyways, I have not been reading that much the past few weeks, outside of comic books, but I did finish 2 books, which are on the bottom. I didn't put them on the bottom. The first book could be considered a traumatic tome, which I don't actually read that many of. It's not horror or fiction, but it is The Looming Tower, Al-Qaeda and the Road to 9/11 by Lawrence Wright. It's published in 2006. This is a solid edition from Vintage, and I'm saying solid like it's not that big, but it's heavy. It has a lot of heft, and I really liked this book. It is basically an exploration. It was published in 2006, but it's an exploration of how how we got to 9/11 through the lens of Islamic extremism. And Lawrence Wright, he's a journalist, I think. He goes he starts us off at in the mid 20th century with the basically the life and the teachings of Sayyid Qutb, 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 and he was an Egyptian theorist, teacher, whatever. He went to the United States and was there for a little while and kind of got disillusioned by the West. And then he was imprisoned by, I think, President Nasser of Egypt. His like secular government imprisoned a lot of Islamists. Islamists are Muslims who believe that Islam should be a political power as well as religious power in whatever country or caliphate or territory they're in. And secularists are a separation of church and state, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of these Egyptians, including Qutb, were imprisoned by the seculars and tortured, which creates a lot of resentment, obviously. And Qutb is especially important as the beginning of this book because he popularized the use of something called takfir, which is basically excommunicating somebody from the Islamic faith. And this condones violence that can be acted upon people who claim to be Muslim. Because in the Quran it says you shall not commit violence against other Muslims. But if you use this absolution called takfir, you could say, this person isn't a Muslim, like I can kill them now or whatever. So this takfir doctrine was one of the major players in increasing Islamic violence in the 20th century. I kind of went on for way too long about that, but this book also profiles Ayman al-Zawahiri, another Egyptian who was kind of the number two with bin Laden in Al-Qaeda. It goes over Osama bin Laden himself and how his father came to Saudi Arabia from Yemen and became very rich and entered into circles with the Saudi royalty, and how bin Laden was one of his like 40 kids, but he also gained some wealth through the business. And it talks about the ideology behind Al-Qaeda and the resentment against the West. It covers a lot about the Soviet-Afghan War, where Soviet Russia invaded Afghanistan in 1979. And that was a 10-year war in which a lot of militant Arabs traveled to Afghanistan or Pakistan to join in on the fighting, to help the Afghanis defend their homeland. And when this war ended, there was a ton of basically exiled Arab militants who their countries didn't want them back because they were fighting. They had left their country to fight. So there's a bunch of people who got used to enjoying fighting, and now they're like, all right, what do we do next? So that was a large proportion of groups like Al-Qaeda building strength. It was very easy to attract these kinds of fighters because they had nowhere else to go. So yeah, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. There's a lot of content covered in this book. My only gripe is that Lawrence Wright kind of like skips over the lead up, the actual like short-term lead up to 9/11. I know this is a big book already, but the last like couple years, like 99, 2000, 2001 is kind of omitted from the narrative here. But I mean, you could read the 9/11 Commission report or something else to get those details. So this is a lot better for like historical background and understanding the key players and the key groups, and also some of the FBI and CIA response and how they didn't really like to play ball with each other, and intelligence failures, failure to share information, which resulted in, not directly, but they weren't able to foil any plot of 9/11. So if you're interested in reading about 9/11, this is a great book to start out with. Lawrence Wright, The Looming Tower. All right, and the other book that I read was The Book of Joy. This is written by Douglas Abrams, but it follows the conversations of the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso of Tibetan Buddhism, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, former Archbishop in I think the Anglican Diocese of South Africa or something. The first black bishop in South Africa, I believe. And this book was created during the Dalai Lama's 80th birthday party, or his birthday week, maybe. I don't think the Dalai Lama would call it a birthday week, but Desmond Tutu flew in from South Africa, and they basically just chatted about the concept of joy and how the world needs more joy and how we can all assume more joyous times just through our own selves. And this is just like a spiritual book. Neither the Lama nor Tutu are pushing their individual religions, being Tibetan Buddhism or Christianity. They're not pushing any narrative here other than working together as a world to create more joy. So I thought this was a really sweet book. Desmond Tutu is now dead, but he was 84 at the time. The Dalai Lama was 80 at the time. This was like 2015, 2016. The book was published in 2016. But they're just hanging out, doing a little meditation, having a lot of tea, dancing. And I think it's a great way to, reading this book is a great way to kind of slow down and appreciate things. They come up with all sorts of different ideas for joy, and then there's a lot of, as any spiritual self-help book, there's like joy practices in the back, which are meditative and reflective and such. So I'm interested in meditation a little, so I might come back to some of these, but I think a lot of the guided meditations were a bit much. But yeah, it was just great it felt like we were sitting around and hanging out with these two giant spiritual figures, and they're basically showing that like despite their titles and positions, they're just like us. And these two guys are kind of rascals. They're always teasing each other and making jokes and playing little teasing pranks, which is funny to see from two like almost heads of their faith. At least the Lama is. But yeah, if you want a uplifting read, I would recommend this book. It's definitely not going to be for everybody. If you're like a hardline religious person and you're only tied to your one sect, you're probably not going to like the inclusionary discourse. It's just spiritual, but I enjoyed the book. It was a nice, relaxing read. So that's it. That's what it is. All right, and to finish up, we're gonna talk about two books that I'm reading right now. The first being Geoffrey Chaucer, The Canterbury Tales. Well, 14th century English poetry. Chaucer, father of English poetry, maybe father of English literature, debatable. But I just started this. It was very surprising. This is a Penguin classic, but the introduction by Neville Coghill was only 7 pages. It's only 7 pages. Usually they're like 50, 60 pages. So that was nice. And it was a solid introduction. I learned a little about Chaucer's life and his works, which is all I really wanted to know. I didn't need a complex analysis of anything. But I've read the prologue, and I'm in the middle of The Knight's Tale right now, which is the first tale. And I'm going to be real with you. The rhymed verse, very slow reading. Not having a great time with it. I want to read Canterbury Tales because it's foundational English literature, but I don't know if I'm going to make it through the whole thing. The thing is, I could read it very slowly and aloud, and I think it would be fun, but that would take so long, and I'm really just trying to see what it says. Read the whole thing. I don't know. There's a long way to go, so we'll see. And the next book that I'm reading currently is Huston Smith's The World's Religions. Now this was originally published in 1958, I believe. It was called The Religions of Man. And this was pre-counterculture, so he said Religions of Man, but then he changed it to not be male-centric, so now it's just the world religions. But he's going through each of the major world religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and then a couple other more minor tribal oral religions at the end. I don't know what they are. I haven't read that yet. But this is not a history of religion. I've only read the chapter on Hinduism so far, and I'm going through Buddhism right now. This book's purpose is to teach us what the religions have to say without getting bogged down by dates and people and times, whatever. It just boils down to like the basic precepts of the religion. Now, I found this a little bit confusing because there's an appendix on Sikhism at the end of the Hinduism chapter. And in that appendix, he does do historical context and famous figures and where, like, geographic relations of where the Sikhs are, which he didn't do at all for the Hindus. So I thought that was a little weird, but I enjoyed the section on Hinduism because before I read this, I couldn't tell you anything about what Hinduism was other than like Vishnu and Krishna and Shiva. I knew there were idols of that. But now I've read this and I know all about the Hindu stages of life, the caste system, which has its merits and detractions. I know about the ways to achieve kind of enlightenment through yoga, and some other things. How Hinduism is accepting of all religions, and it believes that they're all individually suited for different people, but they're all like part of the same universe, the same fundamental understanding of God. So, I mean, I don't know everything about Hinduism now, but I have a much clearer base than I did before. And there was only like 60, 70 pages of reading about Hinduism. I've never even read a book about it. So I'm enjoying this so far, and I'm really interested in Buddhism, so I've actually been tearing through that chapter. But I've just been curious about religion recently and what the different ones have to offer. So when I found this at Goodwill, I pounced on it, and it's been good so far. So yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. Follow me on Goodreads if you want. I like to write little book reviews there, not official book reviews, but just my reactions and my thoughts to whatever I'm reading. And I like to interact with other people as well. So yeah, add me if you would like, and we can so anyways, thanks for watching. I think it's raining outside. I wanted to do this video outside, but it's raining and it's windy in Virginia. So yeah, that's my little update. I've been away for a little bit. Let me know what you're reading in the comments if you have something that is worth talking about. Or if you have a book that you don't think is worth talking about and you want to disparage it in the comments. Or if you want to tell me I'm stupid, that's okay too. All right, bye.